Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Thanks for joining another exciting episode of Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. I'm beaming live from MITV in Lagos. My name is Tunde Odeyemi, and in the next couple of minutes, we'll be discussing best governance on board evaluation. And to lead in the conversation is a distinguished fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Mr. YOMI ADEBANJO. Mr. YOMI ADEBANJO is a fellow and council member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. He was a former chief executive of City Secretaries, a company secretarial firm where he managed more than 50 companies on company secretarial, governance, and compliance matters. He is presently the company secretary of Fixing Earth PLC and is a trainer with particular interest in compliance and corporate governance. He is an astute corporate governance professional with penchant for teaching and capacity building. Mr. YOMI ADEBANJO, we are glad to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Good afternoon, Mr. Adeyemi. Good afternoon, viewers. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for finding time to come on the show today.
My pleasure.
Okay, we'll be discussing best governance practices on board evaluation. And I would like to kickstart this conversation by asking what really is board evaluation and what is the purpose of board evaluation?
Well, as the name implies, evaluation. In any evaluation exercise, you are starting from somewhere. You are starting from what is the objectives of this board.
Okay.
As this objective is met, what are they supposed to deliver? Have those things been delivered? So in evaluating them, you are trying to actually size them up. Is this board able to lead this company to where it is supposed to be? Okay. And don't forget that when you see evaluation of the board, it's like a wide thing. It has one trunk and two ends.
Okay.
In that one exercise, you are looking at the board as a collective noun, as a group of people.
Okay.
You are also looking at individual directors against their KPIs. Don't forget, whether a director is an NED or an ED, first and foremost, he is on that board to deliver a particular thing.
Okay.
Every director recognizes that fact. And what a board evaluation is trying to do is to start from the basis. Why is this man here? What are his KPIs? What is the time frame for delivery?
Okay.
Has he met with this? So by evaluating. And because the role of directors go beyond just being a technical person, you're also testing their capabilities in the area of compliance, in the area of knowledge of their own fiduciary duties. So a good evaluation is robust in nature, testing the director's abilities in various ways, the technicalities of what he's supposed to deliver, his knowledge of the law, with which he is to comply from time to time, his willingness to assist the board. A lot of things put together is what we call board evaluation. We're evaluating the individuals. At the same time, we are looking at the board in terms of leadership, in terms of cohesion on the board, in terms of willingness to assist the management as a board.
So it's like a two-in-one
It's a
exercise.
two-in-one. Every board evaluation exercise is always buy one, get one free.
Okay.
If done by a consultant that understands it, he's got to evaluate the board as one.
As one, okay.
And then look at the individual board member in terms of the skill set that he promises to have, and whether he's deploying that to the board and to the company as a whole. So evaluating all of it at the same time. At the same time, we're evaluating, does he even understand the fiduciary duties? Or is he willing to learn? What is his capacity to learn? Because being a director doesn't mean you know everything.
Okay.
So a good evaluation also tests how long has he joined the board? What has he learned? What can we see him learn?
Okay. At this point, I would like to invite viewers to be part of today's show by making comments or asking questions on today's program. You can send your question or comments via text message to 080-2323-1287. The number again, 080-2323-1287. Please no phone calls, only text message. And please be kind enough to put your name on the text message. Yeah, Mr. ADEBANJO, you have made us to understand the fact that board evaluation is comprehensive and it is a two-in-one exercise. You have to evaluate the board and the directors. Now, how is this evaluation carried out?
Well, we cannot, even in the whole of 30 minutes of this program, tell viewers what it is, what steps. We can only summarize by looking at the cardinal areas that every board evaluation should touch. A board evaluation that is properly done should start with an assurance of confidentiality for all participants. We should create that atmosphere of comfort to elicit the kind of response that you want. So, most consultants that understand the business actually deploy IT behind it.
Okay.
In a way that what you are feeling, what you are saying is not known to every party. That gives you the basis of analysis. If the right questions are asked,
okay,
it provides you with data for the analysis of board as it were. What is this board like? What is the energy on this board?
okay,
What is the demographic arrangement on this board? Who calls the shot on this board? You know, you then move from there to have one-on-one assessment. You see, a board evaluation should make the person you are talking to feel free and comfortable, not making him look like he's on the hot seat.
okay,
Every intelligent evaluator of boards know that he is probably talking to the owner of that business, and therefore he goes with an attitude of wanting to learn from him, to elicit the kind of information that he wants. So in terms of methodology, it is a method that is both formal and informal.
okay,
Informal because you have to create an atmosphere that put the other person at comfort, so he can freely tell you what you want to hear. At the same time, it is formal in the sense that you want credibility in
Of
your
the
report,
exercise,
of the
okay.
exercise. It must be formal to the extent that what you say you have seen, you really have seen.
okay,
And the third part of any board evaluation is book review, desk work. No board evaluation is conducted and completed without the actual document review. If you say you do it, no problem, I want to see it.
So what book are you reviewing?
Statutory books of the business.
Okay.
The company strategic plan, you want to see it. Is this board awake to making sure this board has a strategy in place?
Okay.
If you say you have, I want to see it. If you say the committee that you are supposed to put in place are in place, I want to see their documents, their charter. That is, book review goes far. It even will involve you as a consultant to even confirm that the person you are talking to is actually the director of the business. How was he appointed? Start from there. How were you appointed? Because you are looking at everything holistically. Their governance practices. Some will call it in another name. They will say governance audit, then board evaluation. But I have not always been able to see a clear demarcation. If you want to do a thorough board evaluation, you have to review the books. But what the board is supposed to be doing will be documented.
Sure.
So your review will elicit a lot of things, will expose a lot of things, which also borders on you trying to audit them in terms of governance practices. So it's a lot of things.
Okay, it's true that you actually mentioned the fact that we have limited time. We cannot talk about how it is carried out within the limited time that we have. But I want to refer you to a particular section of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance of 2018. The code provides that the board should establish a system to undertake a formal and rigorous annual evaluation of its own performance, that of its committees, the chairman and individual directors, which you actually mentioned. This process should be externally facilitated by an independent external consultant at least once in 3 years. My question now is, why do you think the code requires external facilitation every 3 years? Why external facilitation? Why every 3 years? Why not yearly?
You see, when you put a system in place, you allow time for it to run.
Okay.
You can't put a system here today and you want to come back next month to test it. People need to learn and get acclimatized with it. So the 3-year suggestion by the code is simply, in my view, to allow the system run for a while before you subject it to a review. But more importantly is the fact that you can't ask the board to evaluate itself all the time. You need an external validation, just like the audited account that you see.
Yeah.
That account is first and foremost prepared by the company itself, by the management. You call in the auditor to cast aspersion.
Okay.
You call in the auditor to review what you have done on a test case basis. And at the end of the day, it tells you what you have done is right. I validate it. I give my report that is clean. The same thing you expect that 3-year evaluator to do. He is not starting from ground zero. He is starting from what was done last year, which perhaps was done by the board itself, peer review they call it.
Is it from last year or what was done 3 years ago?
No. What was done 3 years ago was done by him, let's say.
Okay.
So he is not coming to review his own work.
Okay.
He's probably then coming to say, from where I stop are my recommendations.
Okay.
How many of these recommendations have you implemented?
Okay.
But most importantly is that it finishes in 2020. In 2021, there was a review, peer review. In 2022, there was a review. Those 2 reviews is a basis of his own 3rd-year validation exercise. To say that, well, since the last time I came, what I asked you to do, you have done. Then he reviews again. He validates the process. What needs to have been done that has been done, he validates it. What has been recommended to be done but not yet done, he flags it for control purposes. You know, so essentially the 3-year idea is just to show that, look, board, you cannot be objective enough to evaluate yourself. You need a third party who has an helicopter view to look at it with an external perspective and let him also as a consultant, as a board evaluator. That's his passion. Make recommendation in your audited account that is what he has seen properly or improperly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adebanjo. While you were talking, a text message came in And the test is from Shola Abikonlu. He said, thanks to the guest in the studio. Should the company secretary also be evaluated during the board evaluation process?
The answer to
Shola Abikonlu.
to Shola is that you hardly can get through to the board without going through the company secretary. You know, I mentioned the fact that there must be book review. Are you asking the chairman to give you the books or the company secretary? That is one. And himself must be evaluated. It's part and parcel of the board. If you say the board is good, but they don't have good person to serve them as company secretary, it's as good as not having a good board. Because you must coordinate the affairs of the board. So he also, or she also, must be evaluated in terms of the skill expectations, the key deliverables, and the actual performance. If it's our own falls short, it affects the whole board. Yes. Company secretarial function is not just about being subservient all the time. It's not about just being a servant to the board. He's a professional, if he is one, and should know the right kind of question and structure he wants to intelligently and unannounceably put in place. Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about the company secretary, thanks to the question from Shola. The chairman and the MD, they have dual role. The chairman is first and foremost the director, then the chairman. Then the MD is the director and the managing director of the organization. Should they be evaluated based on these two roles separately, or they should be evaluated on one single role?
What you say by two roles, to me, looks somehow. If you say a chairman, the law is clear. The board shall appoint one of themselves to the position of chairman. And to every chairman, there's a standard expectation. So you won't look at him first as a director and then look at him again as a chairman. You evaluate him as the chairman of the board.
So the parameters of evaluating director is not applicable to him?
They are all applicable, but plus.
Okay.
For instance, you may not want to test other directors on leadership capabilities,
okay,
on fairness or whatever, except you are evaluating the committee and you want to evaluate the individual committee chairman. You probably will set some parameters for the chairman in your questionnaire, albeit not open to other board members, to the chairman himself. Because like I told you, a good board evaluation must assure confidentiality. Other directors will see certain things being asked of the chairman, but the chairman won't see it. It is not left for the evaluator in his analysis to point out to the chairman himself in a private interview, this is what the board feel about you. What steps are you taking to correct them? But the chairman won't see who say so. That's the level of confidentiality I say must be assured in every board evaluation. And coming properly to the question, should the chairman be evaluated in two ways? No. The same evaluation. The questions may differ,
okay,
depending on whom you are posting it to. And when it comes to MD, don't forget, the MD helps the management. His own KPI is set by the board. You won't evaluate the board and you want to extend to the MD, excuse me, without having asked, what is the KPI? What is the objective for the year? What has the board agreed with him as deliverable? Then you can test him on other legal and compliance areas of the business. Does he even know the law affecting this business? That's a different level. But the level of management in terms of he's delivering what he should as a director seems inferior to him, just as it is for other directors who are even non-executive. The yardstick for measuring an INED, for instance, will not be the same yardstick for measuring the MD. But that then doesn't mean that their evaluation is in two categories. No, it is about asking the right question in different situations. But you are still carrying out the same board evaluation. That's why I said it is elaborate to evaluate a board. It is not a job of 2-3 days. I want to just, in the past you see some people, you just write some questionnaire, they say fill it up. That's not board evaluation.
Okay.
The board evaluation go deep, dive deep into the structure of the business itself, and come up. It's like when you see fishermen throw the net into the sea. What you bring out depends on where you net it.
Okay, just talking about the chairman. You have said the external facilitator should do the evaluation. Don't you also think?
I didn't say should. Like the code said, there can be peer review.
Okay.
But that peer review must intermittently, and as the code put it, every 3 years, let an external person come to do a review, which will either validate what has been done or dismiss it and make recommendations as to what needs to be done to better the board. The whole exercise of evaluation is to make sure the board gets better.
Anyway, the question now is that shouldn't the external stakeholders such as shareholders or shareholders association be involved in the evaluation of the chairman since he presides over their meeting? And if such external stakeholders like shareholders association are going to be involved, what is the best way to do it, face-to-face or questionnaire?
The question you should ask on the back of that is, what is the interaction between the chairman and the shareholders? How often do they interact? They interact once in a year, and as far as the law is concerned, all the board hold the shareholder is accountability to render account to them once in a year at an AGM. And believe me or not, those directors you see at AGMs and the chairman, they are subjected to more rigorous evaluation than you can ever imagine. Because that is where a person with just one shareholder will tell the chairman you are wrong. It's an evaluation. That opportunity they have to look at the account and tell them you have to do more here. This is falling short of what we expect of you as a board. So what evaluation can you say? What better one can you say? So this is direct. This is not through any system. We are telling you as the chairman, Mr. Chairman, if you look at page 4 of this account, you don't expect what we see there. We hope we won't see it again next year. Okay, tell me, what is better evaluation than that?
It's a kind of evaluation as
exactly. So, if you now want to also devise another forum where you want to have the shareholders interview or evaluate the board, I don't see reason for it. Because they have ample opportunity. What governance should do is to ensure that board and the chairmen of companies are encouraged to spend more time, quality time at AGMs, engaging with their shareholders.
Okay, I want to ask you this question. We have limited time and I want you to answer it in less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
What is the link between board evaluation results and the continuous training of directors?
The outcome of every evaluation must attempt to close gaps.
Okay.
One of those gaps is any skill gap you see on the board. For instance, you do an evaluation and you see that directors don't really look at the account. They don't have the financial knowledge. They are all engineers, let's say. So they have less to nothing to do with balance sheet. They don't know what it means. You have seen that gap, or you must see the gap if you review the minutes of that board. Okay. As an evaluator, what you then should recommend as part of your deliverables is to say, like Solomon says in the Bible, behold, I have seen under the sun that this board doesn't have financial knowledge. And I'm recommending that they should undergo
a training
okay, in financial interpretation. That's okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. YOMI ADEBANJO. That is the much that we can take on today's episode of Corporate Governance Platform. Mr. YOMI ADEBANJO, fellow council member of ICSAN and company secretary 15 Earth. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, for being part of today's show. And thanks to Shola for that text message. We'll wrap it up from here. I remain Tunde Odeyemi, Please do join us again next week, same station, same time. Bye for now.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.